I met a few people that when I didn't have it on, they didn't really remember me until they seen a sticker on the wall. And it was like, oh, that's you. I remember you had the helmet on. So, and they're grabbing the stars, and the stars represent success in whatever you imagine what success is to you or to them. The thought of quitting comes every now and then. But then the realization of it is like, what else am I going to do? What else do you like to do? There's no other alternative. So I just get back at it, because then I also think too, is like, well, like when it comes to, let's just say, making a living or making money from it, I'm going to do art either if I'm rich or if I'm poor.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Good Soup After Dark. We always appreciate your support, so please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Also, check out our other channel, The Recipe Platform. We are featuring new artists every week, and every artist has an amazing recipe to share. Make sure you follow their pages as well and keep up with their music. As always, enjoy this new episode of Good Soup After Dark. Welcome to an episode of Good Soup After Dark. I'm your host, Jay Gonzalez. We have Morihrihart behind the cameras on the ones and twos. And as per usual, we have another special guest on the podcast. He's a West Philly-based artist, mostly digital media these days, but he has a background in airbrushing, murals, works with businesses. He's kind of like, just like our other guests, very multifaceted, multidisciplined. And we're honored to have you here. We have today August Cameron Davis of Mperical Art. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. And before we get into it, we just want to just show you your camera there. Just tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at my website, imperialart.com. That's with an M, MPERIALART.com. And then at Instagram, Imperial Art.
And awesome, man. We'll make sure we put the links in the description box down below. And I think we're just going to kind of start with the obvious. You have a very, very spectacular piece on right now. You want to talk about it?
Well, the helmet is just, I'm a little reserved person, and it just gives me a different look. And, I just wanted to figure out, just to have a different look, separate myself from other artists, individuals. And it was something that I could easily take off and on. And, nothing too deep about the helmet. It's just a different look,
Do you feel like it kind of gives you or adds to the persona of like Imperial Art or Imperial Art, excuse me?
Yeah, I think it does a little bit. Just slightly mystery. I know we live in an age now that we have to be in the forefront of our art as artists. So just gives me like a slight shield. And like I said, just an interesting look, conversation piece, like a piece of art,
And the stickers you have, are those stickers that you designed yourself?
Yes, this the one in the front, the M, that's my logo for Imperial. And then on the side is another logo I did. So it's just, as I go along, I may add stickers or another design. But this is just what I have right now.
Gotcha.
Right.
Where did the name come from?
Imperial?
Yeah.
I think it's from being young and being a Star Wars fan. And the Imperial March, Darth Vader, So, and then it sounded like a name of importance. or a little bit slightly dangerous, a little bit, I guess.
Okay.
But Imperial, that's where it initially started.
And then kind of the helmet lends into that as well. Now.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot what they ride over in, like, you know, episode 1, but it kind of reminds me of like the helmet that Anakin had on.
X-Wing fighter pilots. Yeah.
Or the racing ones.
Oh yeah, from the first one.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me like the Anakin helmet.
Right.
Let's talk about Imperial Ill Art for a minute. You know, we obviously got where the name came from, but like, can you just talk about like the business as a whole and what you do?
It was just it's a business that my art comes under. So it's like I'm August Cameron Davis, but the business and company is just something that is a company that I want to grow. So it's just illustration art and fine art, basically, and that's what that comes about. I've had it for a while now. So that's where instead of just using my name, August Cameron Davis all the time, it's just the business is. I put that in the forefront sometimes. It's Imperial Ill Art.
And can you just talk about like your art style and like the kind of mediums that you make your art in? We do have a couple examples of your art back here. Can you just talk about how you make it?
These pieces in the back are digitally made. So that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And I like to describe my style as a merge between fine art, comic book art, and a little bit of pop art. So I think it's those three merged together, and that's where I form my style from.
Any particular inspiration that got you into the digital art form?
Visiting Apple and went to the store and kind of testing it out. And then I kind of got really interested from there. Because I didn't have any intentions on really going into digital art. Just kind of like stumbled onto it. So once I went into the Apple store and kind of tested and played with it a little bit, I said, all right, I got to get me one of these. It just, you know, I like digital art. It just gives me a wider freedom than the usual styles I've used, like airbrush, paintbrush, stuff like that.
Okay, so you do other means of art besides.
Yeah.
Can we talk about like what you did before the digital art?
Yeah, I started airbrushing T-shirts. So that's where everything kind of took off from there. So when I was younger, I used to see like rap videos of airbrush T-shirts and jeans and stuff like that, but never really seen an airbrush being actually applied to the clothes. So it was to one time I went to Jersey Shore and actually seen an airbrush artist doing a T-shirt. And then from there, it was like, oh, I got to definitely get me one of those. So, you know, this was in the 80s. So from that point on, it was like, I got to have a mission to get me an airbrush. So that's where I took off. And airbrushing was just a learning thing in itself. Learning how to work the airbrush, using color. Then once, you know, one of those things like I did shirts for myself, and then people would see it, and then that's where it kind of took off. Then people wanted one from there. And that's where it was like, well, I can make money, you know, like instantly. I mean, you know, right away. Mm-hmm. So that's where the whole art thing and making a living kind of came about.
Can you describe, like, because like you said, there's that hip hop influence.
Yeah.
And like kind of like looking through your stuff, it's kind of like a mixture of like hip hop and like nerd stuff, because, you know, like.
Yes.
So like, can you describe like those first pieces that you would make? Like, was it more of like a hip hop influence? Was it more of like what you were interested in?
It was, I guess, a little bit of everything. It was a lot of cartoon, superhero stuff. Then, like, the neighborhood that I live in, a lot of guys play basketball. So I airbrushed teams we would have basketball leagues. So at one point I would do mainly half the league sometime. So that kind of brought in money and just whatever somebody kind of requested. So it was a little thing of everything.
Was there like a particular crazy piece like from back in the day that you were proud of, or like a line of shirts or something? Like what was kind of like the craziest like idea that you had that you were able to airbrush onto a shirt?
It's been so many like that. That's a question. That's a little hard because it was over the years. It was just a lot of diverse things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like it could be literally anything. So for like that's what I wanted to say. One of the things I do like about art in itself, and at the time of airbrushing is it was just so many different people. When you get a chance to airbrush something for a daycare, and then the next month I'm airbrushing a picture at a strip bar. The two things don't go with each other and never should, but that's how diverse and up and down things and it could be. So that's one of the things that I loved about airbrushing is that you just had different people that to work for and with.
And it seems like it kind of like got you access to a bunch of different types of spaces and like
Yes.
places and like different influences. Like you said, one day you could be doing something for like a daycare, maybe cute cartoon characters, exactly. I assume, and then the next day you're doing some hot ladies on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Pretty. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like I find that like just like with any type of art form in general, it like people from all walks of life kind of appreciate it. So I could see why you're saying like, oh, it's a little hard to answer because I can go from doing a daycare to a strip club.
Yeah.
So it was not only airbrushing that you did too, right? Like you did other types of artwork. Did you do like kind of like murals or like?
Yeah, but the t-shirt thing kind of went into murals.
Okay.
So that's where I would get commissioned to do kids' room. And then, like I said, I did a few daycares, a few bars, a few barbershops, motorcycle club, maybe put their logo on the wall. So like I said, it varies from project to project. So that's, like I said, that was the great part about it. It's like, and then you get to see, it's like you're not part of those businesses or projects, but you kind of get to see a little bit the inner workings of what a business does, just a little bit, just by being an artist that's there for the time that's you putting a mural on the wall.
So like from those, like, because it wasn't only just businesses, but you bring up an interesting point. So like from those businesses that you did those jobs for, like what kind of lessons did you learn from that you could apply to your own business? Like whether that was really like starting up the business and getting into it or just improving upon what you were doing. Was there anything that you learned from that?
Yeah, you learned a few things just by airbrushing itself and just being self-taught. So it seemed like every experience is a learning process. And one of the things I learned was with airbrushing, you're dealing with demand. Sometimes it's like, all right, on the spot. So it may have been an instance where, there was a few instances where people might have wanted a shirt for a party and they come to you last minute and you got to do stuff right then and there. So it gives you that, like I said, on demand, satisfying the customer, so there's a lot of things you could take just by doing that airbrushing aspect. So it's like, somebody may want a different color or, you got to switch up sometimes on the fly. So it's a lot to learn from airbrushing. Like I really learned from those years doing it.
Was there a hard lesson you had to learn as maybe when it came to like your actual work or working around a deadline. Was there a hard lesson you learned?
Deadlines were probably the big one. But I used to meet most of the deadlines. Nights, just doing 30 shirts. It's like last minute. Like, nobody would. It would be my fault that he come to me last minute, but it's just like that's the demand of it, the whole time of it, and just getting it right and just doing things by hand and not trying to mess up. So that's a lot. That's one thing I do like about digital is like you can correct yourself pretty much easily now. Then back then it was like, oh, if I mess up on a shirt, I got to do maybe the whole shirt over again, or I got to, go over this particular place I messed up. But that didn't happen too much. But that's just one thing was really hard lessons.
Yeah, definitely the drawing on an iPad save a lot of money if we're talking about you buy one iPad and you have you want a watercolor, you have a watercolor. You want a Posca markers. You want to like anything, ink, whatever. You can draw anything, any color. You don't need you can see I have colors on the wall. So you don't need it. You can pick anything you want. So it's give you much more space.
And it gives you that endless list of, like you said, color. There's another thing might happen is we run out of color. Now I got to run downtown to get, a specific color that I ran out on. So doing digitally, it's like you just got endless color, endless equipment.
Tools,
yes. Yeah, endless tools.
Brushes,
yes.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
So that's one thing I love about doing digitally.
Now, I mean, besides the obvious, the medium in itself is different, but how has the work changed going from predominantly airbrushing and murals to going to predominantly digital? How does the work change?
I could get, before with airbrushing, I did do stuff for businesses, but it was a lot of individual client work. So digitally, I could market to more bigger clients, companies, stuff like that. So because that's what the work is for, with files, when it comes to files and stuff like that. So that's one part of doing digitally, the airbrushing.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's diverse, because I think that's one of my challenges of, you hear about artists need to pick a niche. And for me, I'm kind of 50-50 on that. So I understand getting a niche and then finding that right audience and sticking to that. But for me, so many things are interesting. I could, like I said, with the airbrushing thing, it's like I can't just stick to one particular thing. I can't just stick to painting horses and, and ranch life. Just different things I like creating, even from those ideas.
I believe that's artistic part. So yeah, you can find something and just do consistently again and again, but it's more like skill. So you just know how to do this and you do over and over again. It's more practice and everything. And even if you're not good artist, for example, if you do again and again same things consistently, sooner or later you're gonna do it well. But being an artist is explore all the different types of art, figure it out, what's yours, what's not. And so far what we talk to artists and how I also feel sometimes that there is no such a thing as satisfied artist in a way. Sometimes you go to internet and you see what people do, and you just like, oh, I want to try that. Oh, this looks interesting. I want to try that. So it's consistently try new stuff. So it's not like, find your niche. It's just because you're an artist, you're trying to explore everything is possible to try to do.
What kind of challenges do you face, like trying to find an audience? Is it like trying to niche down?
I can't really say, because it's like, I really can't niche down. It's like, but so many things I have an interest in. Like I like sports, and then I like comic book stuff. So, usually when, as they said, the nerds, they like the comic books and the fantasy stuff, but then you have the sports audience. But I'm a person that's a little bit in between. I like hip hop. I like all types of music. So it's like, that's just how my personality and how I am. I'm just willing to create anything from any idea that I have, that I hear or see from.
So we met in person the first time at an art show. So for like, and I always like trying to like kind of figure out how different artists like try to find their audience, or how they find their audience. Because that's like one of the toughest challenges with any of this stuff, right? Like, whether it's like your digital art or like this podcast, is like trying to find that right audience. So like when you do, like, for example, we met at Pancakes and Booze. Like when you set up for a show like that, like what do you keep in mind when you like build your display, when you put up the pieces on the wall? Like what are you trying to draw people in with?
Well, it's something like Pancake and Booze or other art shows, or like these works behind me. The one Fame, I did that at the last Pancake and Booze. And then this one, Instant Gratification, I did that one for this show. So it just kind of, how I set up for shows is whatever I have new. And then I go, it's not really a thing that I have on the wall. So I guess the decisions is, which one am I going to make bigger, and then which ones I'm going to make certain other smaller sizes. So that's usually the decision that goes in when doing an art show.
How long have you been doing like art shows? Like, has it been as long as you've been in the field, or?
No, actually, I started doing art shows last year. So This is a whole thing. So I'm going on my second year doing art shows. I guess it was a thing of just building up the courage and just, just seeing what else was out there. Tackling different audience from doing the art shows.
And is that where the helmet comes into play too? Around the same time?
I would say, yeah, about the same time. The helmet is just, you're fairly new also, because I wasn't wearing it or had the idea for it.
Yeah, no. And I personally like it because like I don't think it's like gimmicky or anything. Like you're trying to create a character, you're trying to be memorable. Right. And like it's a discussion like I've had with Marie, like about what we do or like different artists. It's like, like you can have really good work, but people I think care about people first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even if your initial reaction was like, that's goofy, you kind of like look beyond that. It's like, oh, this person with this helmet makes this great art. So they're going to remember you by the helmet, and then they're going to stay for the art, right?
Right, yeah.
Have you found that that's been, because you said this is all fairly new, and I think that when we spoke on the side, I mean, you mentioned earlier you've been doing this since the 80s, right?
Yes.
It's a fairly long time, right?
Yes.
So like with this kind of newer development, kind of building up the courage to go to art shows and using the helmet as like a conversation piece and like to get people interested in what you're doing, do you find that it draws more people into your world of Imperial Ill Art?
It does. Like, I met a few people that, like, when I didn't have it on, they didn't really remember me until they seen a sticker on the wall, and it was like, oh, that's you. I remember you had the helmet on. So it's working a little bit.
Yeah. And the more you do it, man, the more it's just going to kind of build up that character.
Right.
And that'll learn. And like, as an artist, like, it's cool to have a character, you know? In a perfect world, like, the work would speak for itself, right? That's what we would like. Like, if you make good work, it should be appreciated.
Yes.
But like, sometimes, like, especially in like an art show like that, or just like in a big city like this, like, good work can get lost amongst each other, right?
Exactly.
And I think like the one thing that helps people stand out is just kind of being themselves.
Yes.
And being yourself can be being a character, you know, that is.
Right.
So, you know, I think that you're onto something. Obviously, like, it kind of drew us to you, right?
Right.
You know, we're sitting here right now and even discussing it. And we know it's not like who you are.
Right.
You're August, but like with that helmet on.
Well, that's another thing too. I wanted to still use my real name. So it's not like, I didn't want to use anything mysterious. And plus my work already has my signature on it. So that means I would have to change a lot.
Oh,
so
I think August is a strong name, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a cool, well, it's a hot month. It's a hot month.
Right.
But you said you've been finding that it's been helping kind of using the character.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, especially like for Pancakes and Booze, and I think you're doing another show, is it Waffle and Wine? Or?
Yeah, I did Waffles and Wine last month.
Like you incorporated that character that you built with the helmet and the drawings that you did kind of advertising.
Yep.
Like, I remember, like, for Pancakes and Booze, it's like, I think it's like kind of you from the top going towards the screen with like a pen. And it's like, I'm going to be at Pancakes and Booze. Exactly. So it's just like, you're already kind of building into that character, right?
You know, with the helmet, I could play with that, especially for the promotion part of it, instead of like just having me. So it's like, you know, once you put that on a promotion, it's like, well, who's the guy with the helmet? Almost. So, you know, like I said, it's not like a thing where I'm trying to hide. It's just...
You're trying to stand out.
Yeah, just trying to stand out a little bit, you know?
Yeah, you're just trying to stand
quietly,
out. Quietly,
you know, stand out without yelling, you know?
So some people do a lot of yelling. So, no, and I like, I mean, you keep mentioning, like, you're not trying to hide. And that's a good thing. Like, what kind of pushed you to do more art shows? I mean, there's the obvious answer, like, I want to find more people that buy into what I do. But you mentioned that, like, you had to kind of build up the courage for that. Was there, like, a pivotal moment in your life that was like, all right, let me go to the public with this in this way?
Yeah, kind of. And then it's like, I like the networking of it all, too, because I got to meet a few artists. Because usually I follow a lot of artists on Instagram or other social media. This time I actually get to see them. And that's one thing I do like doing the art shows. So it's like you get that camaraderie from just other artists, which before I didn't know too many artists. So that's what I like about doing art shows. And just the people, because sometimes you get lost in this whole social media thing. And being at art shows, you're right there with the people. So, you know, the social media, you get a like here and there, but then you actually at an art show, people actually say, I like it.
Right.
You know, you get in that physical, you know, human connection. So that was one thing I liked about doing the art shows as well.
Yeah, networking is kind of a weird thing that, like, no one really wants to do it. Everyone knows they have to do it.
Yeah.
People like doing it while they're doing it.
Right.
You know, it's just kind of like one of those, like, mixed bag things, right?
Yeah.
Like, trying to get to know people and and that's the best way to do it, because, like, you know, you could just be on social media all day, every day, making posts and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like when you find the people in the street, or like find the people in these art shows, like, hey, this is me, and if you want to keep in touch with me,
right.
And that kind of goes hand in hand and kind of helps build, you know, those two kind of build each other up. Has there been any, like, direct benefits of you and your quest to, like, network and meet different people?
It gets me to connect to other art shows. Like I said, it's kind of like, for me, it's like I'm here to display my art. I'm here to make connections. and you get some sales, so it's like, for me, it's like, because I don't go out as much as I used to. Used to go to a nightclub here and there. So sometimes it's like going to a nightclub, just hanging out. But I'm there displaying my art. So it gives you that social, thing about it.
What kept you from doing kind of art shows and networking in this way before?
Well, before it was just like how I got my businesses was through word of mouth. So everything mainly came to me. Like I didn't have to do too many advertisement and promotion.
Okay.
And I always knew about art shows. Like for instance, Pancake Booths. I've heard about that maybe 10 years ago. But it was one of those things like either I felt like I wasn't ready for the art and just saying, I'm just going to do it, And then the way my business, I guess, was structured, I didn't have a lot of prints either. And I found a good way to sell at an art show because too many people are not going to buy the bigger pieces sometimes. So I just had a lot of original work. And like I said, just through time and I guess just deciding to go for it. That's why I started to join the art shows.
So the artistic journey starts with something. And when you was a child, do you have some kind of like interest in art? Do you have like art school or something behind like that you learn all of it, or you just self-made?
Yeah, self-taught. I didn't go to art school. I was just a kid that was into cartoons and comic books. And I just tried to do that, like see what I saw in the books and different art books, stuff like that. So that's where I would say everything started from there.
So from being a kid, just watching cartoons and just trying to draw this stuff. I have kind of the same story. I watched at that time really popular Sailor Moon, and I tried to draw because there's like beautiful girls, and I tried to draw them, and I believe it looks horrible, but my parents encouraged me and say like, yeah, that's great. You draw this from memory. You take the pen and you draw that, and it was like I don't know, like 7 years old. So and you said you start to do like from memories, draw the cartoons. Do you ever think about make your own cartoon or comics or something like that?
I actually have characters now that I've developed. So that's something I want to do in the future. It's just that with doing comic books, it takes a lot of time. You got to write it. You got to draw the panels. So, but I do have original characters that I created on my own.
If you're gonna draw the cartoon, you're gonna use digital art or like mix digital and classic. You wanna like because right now, like I will share. We recently watched a cartoon show, and they have whole background super hyper realistic drawing. And the main characters is just the lines and just solid color, no shades, nothing. And they put this together, and it looks so unique and so weird. So you look at like you remember that cartoon just because it's like your brain just like twisted. It's like wow, there's like background, all the details, like a house, grass, everything's so detailed, and a character is just like sticks. It's kind of interesting. So what if you make your own comics or cartoon in the future? What do you plan to use? How do you see it?
I'm gonna go digital.
Totally digital.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have some. I mean, I've drawn them already in like sketch, pencil, but to go forward, I would do digital. So,
I mean, do you care to share like some of the concept with us?
it's so early. I can't, you know.
Okay.
Right.
I was just trying to see if we can get an exclusive
No,
scoop.
that's like further down the line, early works. I mean, later work.
Gotcha. So you've been doing this a while, just in general with the art, and you've obviously evolved. You've evolved like the medium and how you work. Like, was there ever a time that you thought like you want to quit this? Like maybe like just things weren't selling the way they were. You hit a slow period. Like, was there ever a time that you like really second guess yourself?
Yeah, from time to time, I do. And the thought of quitting comes every now and then. But then the realization of it is like, what else am I going to do? What else do you like to do? There's no other alternative. So I just get back at it, because then I also think too, is like, well, like when it comes to, let's just say, making a living or making money from it, I'm going to do art either if I'm rich or if I'm poor. So I'm fooling myself kind of when I say you want to quit this. So, it's like either way. So if I had all the, millions of dollars, let's just say if I hit the lottery, I had millions of dollars, you would find me still somewhere drawing or even doing it just for fun, even if it wasn't the thing to make a living at it. I would do it either way. So that's where it's like, I think I fool myself when I say, oh, you're going to quit. Because there's going to always be an idea that I'm going to always want to create and see how it comes out. So that's where that aspect of quitting is like, it's like for what? It's really not going to happen.
And do you think that kind of realization comes with the fact that you've been doing this for so long that it's become kind of part of your identity, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. So it was just like second nature type of thing.
Okay. Well, coming from a personal perspective, like you say, like the thought of like stopping doing this or quitting, like comes every now and then. With me, it probably comes, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times a week. Yeah. And I think like for me in particular, so I just turned 34. Okay. I'm getting old and forgetting my own age. No, I just turned 34 this past week. And like I've only really kind of gotten into what we're doing within like the past few years. Like, I've had spurts of like artistic pursuits, I guess, in a way. Like I played the baritone horn as a kid, and like I took up photography briefly in high school. But like trying to actually make something out of it, like just consistently been working at it for the past couple of years. And like sometimes I get caught up in like, am I even good enough at this? Or like I get caught up in like looking at other people's stuff who's doing the same thing that I'm doing. So like, I guess like right now what keeps me going is the fact that like I really want to make something out of this. And I think that I haven't felt like such a general sense of satisfaction from like most else of what I've done in my life up until this point when I started doing this. Okay. And that kind of keeps me going. But like I always deal with like that feeling like, what the hell am I even doing this for?
And also too, you're in the early years of it. So, when they say, I heard a saying said the last thing to grow is the fruit. So when you plant the seed, that the last thing you're going to get from it is the thing you want to grow. So I don't know your journey, but just seeing all this and being here, I think you're on the right track because you started. So that's the only thing I can say or advice I have for you is like, you're not sitting around saying you want to do, or I need to do, or this is an idea you have. You started, so
yeah, we're a couple of doers,
right? So you can't have something come to fruition if you just don't start. I know a few people that say I want to do this. Somebody I know that they say they can write. I've never seen him write anything. I've never read anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, my thing is just to start. Even if it doesn't make any money, or, you got to start somewhere. And that's the advice I give to anybody doing anything.
I believe it's really complicated to have consistently, how it's called, inspiration. Sometimes you lose it and you're just sitting in front of the open Procreate and you don't know where to start and what to do. What do you do when you feel like nothing inspired you right now, but you want to, like, you feel like, oh, I have an energy and I want to do something, but you don't know where to start? What do you usually do if you have this situations? I believe every artist have this kind of blink, but what do you do?
That really doesn't hit me. It hasn't hit me, at least yet. Because I always feel like I get inspiration from anywhere. From from music to movies to even news reports. I can always just draw something from somewhere. Like, I guess, for example, like the one in back of me, the instant gratification. That comes from just hearing about people being so indulged into social media. So I come up with an idea, what you see now. So, like I said, I could kind of pull it from anywhere and kind of build an idea off of it to create a picture from it.
Do you have an artist who inspired you? Like, who do like the same type of, like, not the same type, but if we can say like digital art, which just like you can say like, oh, I really like look at their Instagram or something and it's like make me feel good and make me feel like I want to do more.
There's a few artists. There's old artists, Ernie Barnes, Alex Ross, he's a comic book artist, Kadir Nelson. That's a few I could just mention off right now. So it's like I said, I follow dozens of artists on social media. Even if they don't do digital, whatever form they use, it still inspires me just looking at them and their work, to see how they,
What's the craziest idea for art do you ever have? It's just like when you show the art and people like, well, that's really amazing how this idea come to your brain. So do you have something like this? Like, do you make something and people like asking like, that's amazing, but how do you have this idea? Where it's come from?
like I said, it could be pulled from anywhere. I have, for instance, I did bring it with me. It's one of my works. It's called Reach for the Stars.
Do you want to take like a brief break and like grab that real fast? So yeah, we went and grabbed the piece. You want to describe it to us?
Yeah, this is called Reach for the Stars, and you can see there's this individuals climbing up the American flag, which the red stripes are pole. And they're grabbing the stars, and the stars represent success in whatever you imagine what success is to you or to them. And they're taking the stars off of the flag. So that's what this piece represents.
It's have some kind of political undertone of it. It's like everyone come to, like, because I'm come to America, it's like everyone come to America because the Hollywood is here, because it's easier to become a star. And it's like everyone try to reach to America to grab the star.
Yes.
Like it's kind of give me this kind of vibe.
Yeah, like it's the stars represent success. And it could be money, it could be whatever, I let the viewer kind of. Sometimes on some of my pieces, even though I created it, sometimes I allow or the viewer can come up with their meaning for what they feel that it is too. I don't mind that. So that's what the stars represent.
Yeah, I kind of see like a mixture of different types of people on there. So like for instance, I don't know, maybe this person's helping, or maybe this person's like, I'm getting to the top and I'm using you. So like in the bottom left corner there's someone climbing on somebody else.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like some people are struggling. It looks like some people might have got up there a little bit easier.
Yes.
I don't know if it's just from the angle that I'm seeing it. It looked like she was biting it, but no, I think she's just struggling, kind of climbing up. And like Marie said it, I mean, I can kind of see where it might have like a political.
Yeah.
Like, and you said you leave the interpretation up to the viewer,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It may have like some political like undertones, maybe. But definitely, like, you know, there's the whole thing that they say, like, America's like the land of opportunity.
Exactly.
And, like, people are taking that opportunity from America, like, literally taking it off of the symbol of it.
Kind of with the greed and just that pursuit of success and happiness, you kind of, as you're taking away, you're stripping other things from it. Also.
Now, is there any type of symbolism with the bars? Like whenever I see or think bars, like I think prison or like kind of being held back.
No, they're actually just poles.
They're just poles.
Yeah, okay. They're not like caged or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can see like the individuals can go in between them, you know, as freely as they want.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just an example of when I say drawing inspiration from just things that you see. And, you know, I kind of just pull it. I can put this.
It's look like you have a lot of like, I just trying to find the word, symbolism. It's a lot about not a social media, social, how it's called, social context. So about the people, it's have even the name of it. It's talking about like symbolism. It's talking about. I just remember the word and it's just run away. You know what I'm trying to say? Everything is like about human lives and just look at you, look how you look, how I see you. You have this, you have that. If you look at the painting on the back, you can. And I remember I asked you about this lady in a bathtub with likes, just like there's lots of likes, lots of presents and everything. So she have all this sympathy from people, likes and everything, but she hold the heart, something that really important, and it's have a like really deep meaning. So almost every work that you show right now, and I know because we see more that. Most of your works have this deep meaning. Do you think you're trying to show something to the society? You're trying to be the voice? You're trying to like point on the problems or on important situations? Because you said you can find the inspiration in the news lines and stuff like this. So you think you can be a voice for like people? Hey, look around. That's what you do, and that's what's important.
Yeah, sometimes I try to hold a mirror up to, I guess you say, society or just things going on in society. So sometimes it doesn't have to be something daunting or negative, but just something to make and let somebody think. They see, it provokes a thought or conversation. So some of my work is driven that way.
Can we talk about this piece on the right a little bit more? First off, is that like somebody specific?
It's not specific. It's just a woman
It almost reminded me of Whitney Houston a little bit.
Well, it's called Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And to describe it a little bit, the person is not a known person. So it's just this face of somebody that is famous. And what they're famous for can be up to, like I said before, the viewer. Doesn't have to be a singer or a celebrity. They could be famous for doing something notorious, but it's called fame. And within the reflection of the glasses, if you see paparazzi, and they have monsteristic characteristics. If you look closely, showing also the pursuit and hunger for sometimes celebrities, and how the media can seem like that at times. So that's what that piece is about.
Yeah, I was about to say they look pretty hungry and vicious.
Yeah,
like in that reflection. Like the general picture of the famous person is cool. It's bright. It's colorful. But it's like once you get into that reflection, like in the sunglasses, that's kind of like where a lot of the details are. But it's just kind of like monochromatic in a way, because like it's a very interesting piece.
Yes.
Was there kind of like some sort of intention by just showing them in the sunglasses, or?
Well, that's another thing I do with my art is how to create the structure of the picture on angles. So I didn't want to do a thing of you seeing the person standing, then the paparazzi. So it's like, well, how can I get both sides in of the picture? I was like, it was the reflection of the sunglasses. So that's one thing I approach in my art too, is different views and angles of how the actual picture is structured, just to give it that interesting, different way of viewing the art.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. So, I got a few more if you want to see.
Yeah, you want to show us one more before we?
Okay. It's cool?
Yeah,
All right.
Absolutely. So what can you tell us about this piece right here?
Well, this is just a simple one. This is called Spitting Lyrics. And as you can see, it's a mouth with hands holding the mic with blinging jewelry and bullets spitting from it. So it's just, this one is just a metaphorical, illustrated piece. Nothing too deep. It's just like when rappers say the things they say. So this is basically what this piece is about.
Yeah, I think that would look nice on like an album cover, or like I mean, do you have any like specific rappers in mind that might have inspired this?
Yeah, a few. I'm from old school kind of, so we got Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, whatever. Sometimes in their raps they have metaphorics where they saying how they rap is kind of like compared to a gun, but they're not really talking about shooting anybody. They're just saying that's the type of lyrics they have. So that's what that inspiration comes from.
Okay. So like in general, like how do you find that hip hop kind of relates to your art, whether it comes to this piece specifically or like any other pieces?
Hip hop influences my art a lot. Like I said, even in the early years of airbrushing and seeing graffiti on t-shirts and jeans and stuff like that, to just the whole style of hip hop and the lifestyle. Very much influenced by it. So I got another piece, like that other piece I showed you, it's called Around the Way. And I kind of wanted to do a piece that was kind of like a visual rap song. Things that you hear in a rap are kind of in that picture. So rap is, if anything else, I would say rap music, hip hop influenced my art a lot from anything else. Even though, like I said before, I'm interested in a lot of things, but just, growing up in the inner city, and then the music, that's just where all that comes from.
Thank you for sharing those pieces with us. Thank you for sitting with us on the pod and allowing us to get to know you better, August. But before we sign off, just want to give you the chance to let people know where they can find you and your art again. It's your camera right there.
You can find me at Instagram at Imperial Ill Art and my website, imperialart.com.
Make sure you hit up those pages, especially the website. And if you're interested in anything you see here, I'm sure you sell the stuff and you're always like trying to do more work. Thank you again for being on the pod. And thank you for sharing your story with us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.